Today's cardinal lesson is going to talk about whether you want to call them the 7 things or the 7 worries in retirement, the 7 subjects: Medicare, long-term care, IRAs, retirement income, estate planning, income tax, and Social Security. And it's kind of funny, on my YouTube channel, I had a lady address me as Mr. Cardinal Advisor, and I thought, well, maybe that'll be my new name. So these are the 7 subjects, or the 7 worries, or the 7 things that Mr. Cardinal Advisor thinks you need to be concerned about if you're in your 50s, 60s, 70s, and beyond, and planning out your retirement. Or another way to put it is, I've divided all the areas of retirement planning up into these 7 subjects. And today's video, what we're really talking about is what we are, what we do, and what we're not. And many people, when they find out and they meet me socially, and I'm a certified financial planner, CFP, and they're thinking, okay, so what this guy does is he takes your money under management. I'll take your money, and then he looks at it, and then he decides, I'm going to buy this stock and that stock and these bonds, and kind of mix it all around, and then I'm going to get the said return. I'm going to make them some money, and then that money that I make you, or that you earn with my management or your return, that and your Social Security are what they're going to live off of. And there's a lot of people that just simplify. If you really sat them down and said, what does that guy do, or what's he going to do for you, that's what they're going to say. And what I have to say to that is a small part of what we do, okay? And we feel like we're good at it. I don't think that I'm especially that much better at it than a whole bunch of other people that do that. I mean, you can only be so good at picking stocks and mutual funds and ETFs and doing all that and earning a return, is you can only be as good as you can predict the market. And I think, the safety, a lot of things come into play. What we really do is we put together a retirement plan for clients. And what we do is we go around and we address all 7 of these topics. And if you'll notice, my YouTube channel is broken down into those 7 subjects, and then it has several videos under each topic that go over what you need to learn about that particular topic. Like under Medicare, I mean, you're going to have stuff on, should you buy an Advantage plan or do a supplement? Or, how does IRMA work? And IRMA is income-related monthly adjustment amount. It's a Medicare surtax on wealthy people. And how does that work? How do the penalties work? I mean, we could go on and on. We have different videos on each of these subjects. You can watch them. You could sit down with me, and I can bring you up to snuff about Medicare. Same thing with long-term care. I mean, we have some of the issues. I mean, the biggest thing with long-term care that comes into my world is, if this happens to you, if you need somebody to care for you, you need care, or you need it at home, or you need to go to an assisted living, where's the money going to come from? Or is this thing going to disrupt your whole retirement plan? What's custodial care? Are you going to get this at home? What's assisted living? Then we get down where most middle class, upper middle class, however you want to do it, mass affluent people, where they have most of their money is already inside what's called a qualified plan in an IRA, or it's still in the 401k. And usually this is what they're talking about when they're thinking, I'm going to invest that for them. And I could certainly do that. Point of this video, there's a whole lot more to it than that. I mean, we go and we look at IRAs and 401ks. I'm a big disciple of Ed Slott and the IRAhelp.com. And I have him, or I go and attend his stuff to really learn, so I can be an expert on all of these subjects related to IRAs. Now, we know when we have an IRA and you have a lump of money and most of your assets are there, when you get retired and we're putting together the retirement plan, we have to create an income. And then what really becomes important is it's easy to create an income. I mean, what do you got $500,000. If we wanted to take out $50,000 a year, it's going to last 10 years, maybe into the 11th, 12th, and 13th, depending upon how much we earn on the remaining balance, or less than 10 years if we help you lose some money. But lifetime incomes under IRAs and under the retirement are all about the 80s and 90s. So when we set up a retirement plan, we've got to set things up where you're making withdrawals in such a way that you're not going to run out of money when you're 84, or your spouse isn't after you pass away and he or she lives up into their 90s. We've got to do all this in such a way that they're not broke when they're old. Retirement income, which is related to these two, talking about the 90s and beyond, we got to really look at market losses. What's the potential? A lot of retirees in today's day environment, they're just very worried, and they're worried about the fact that of watching their balances being washed away in a week or two, or matter of days, if there was some kind of event like happened March a year and a half ago when COVID started. People are worried about that, or something more catastrophic than that. And how do you predict that? But when we're looking at all your stuff and we've got a big pot of money or a medium-sized pot of money that we're going to create an income for you, we have to look at that, because if that all of a sudden happens in your third year of retirement, it's going to blow our plan sideways. Now, we sit down with people and we talk to them about estate planning. And some people, clients, that's the most important thing in the world. That's the first thing they talk to us about is, they're concerned and they're very desiring to leave a sum of money or a substantial sum to their children and their grandchildren. Other people we talk to, they're a little more moderate. They're saying, hey, they get what's left. This savings and this whole plan is for me. Don't spend a lot of time on this, because whatever's left, the kids can divide it up. And then we have other people that they don't want to leave anything to their kids. I mean, it's nothing. Maybe they've had trouble with that. It's not my business to start telling people how to think or how to be, but so with all of these subjects, we need to sit with clients and we need to find out how important they are or where they fit on the level of importance. Many times with this estate planning issue, we find husband and wives in different places. So we're going to interview them, and we might find one spouse wants to leave a certain thing or certain amounts to the children and grandchildren. The other spouse maybe they're not in a position of not wanting to give them something, but they're just saying, hey, that's for us, not a priority. Now, income taxes, I find it kind of funny is because my assistant, I don't know if this happened by chance, is she did all the workings here in brown, which is kind of like the least desirable color. And, I'm just looking at that and I just think, but a lot of people, they just hate paying income taxes, or it's certainly not one of their favorite subjects. And, I got thinking about that. Income taxes become my favorite subject when I can reduce them for my clients. They're even better for me when I can eliminate taxes, okay? And I'm certainly not promising that to everybody, because there's the word legal in there, is that we've got to work within the tax code to make sure that everything that we suggest and we do is all proper. But income taxes, I'm kind of talking about them at the end, because I don't like to talk about them first. People that put taxes up or reducing taxes at their highest priority, a lot of times coming into me, I don't necessarily want to take them in as clients, because they're going to end up making bad investment decisions, because if all they're looking at is the tax benefits, many times tax benefits camouflage a poor investment behind that. And then what was really first up here in the corner that I'm getting to last is Social Security. And with Social Security, if you've already filed for it, well, then the only thing we're really going to talk about it is how you can pay less taxes on your Social Security check. But for many people coming in and doing retirement planning, either they or their spouse or both of them haven't filed yet. So they have that decision, and there are 96 different dates between ages 62 and 70 for you that you can choose for Social Security. Now, we're not going to sit down and evaluate every one of them, but I just wanted to make the point, if you haven't filed for Social Security yet, that Social Security check is going to be at the cornerstone of this retirement plan. It's going to be the first money that shows up in the bank every month. And it also is going to be coming in when you're in your 90s, and it's going to have inflation on it. So it's real, if it's not important to you, it's important to me. And when I'm doing this estate planning, I've got to really take these decisions and make them important to you. Now, if you started early, you're going to diminish your Social Security check for the rest of your retirement. But there are reasons to start it early. So I'm not trying to give blanket advice here. If you delay it and you wait till 70 to take it, you're going to get a much bigger check, but you're going to have missed out on all those checks if you would have taken it at 66. So, there's pluses and minuses to everything here. Taking it at 70, which is what I plan to do, and the reason I'm going to do that is I think my wife is going to live to be 100. We're going to her aunt's 100th birthday party this month, and it's her mother's sister, and I think there's a good possibility of that. And if I wait till 70 and then I die somewhere after that, she is going to get my check, my inflated check, for the rest of her life. So I'm really setting her up to have a really good Social Security check after I'm gone. We also have such a thing as life insurance to take care of widows and widowers, added to the Social Security check. So the point I wanted to make in all this stuff, I've just been spitting out a lot of facts at you, is any one of these subjects, you can get yourself boned up pretty quick. You call me up, you hire me to do some estate planning or retirement planning, and or maybe you're just interested in Medicare, and we sit down and one of my associates just goes over Medicare. We can bring you up to snuff in an hour or two where you can really consider yourself an educated person about the subject of Medicare. We can do the same thing with Social Security. I just started down that road. With a little bit of reading on your part and some tutelage from us, you could sit down and say, I now feel educated enough to make decisions about Social Security. You start going around the wheel on any one subject, not that hard to do. But that's not really what we get paid to do. I mean, that's part of it. What happens is, as life happens to all this stuff, is that people who come to us, all this stuff starts working together. Like, for instance, we put together this retirement income plan. All the money's in an IRA. We decide to take out $5,000 a month out of the IRA and start sending that to you. That's $60,000 a year. Well, we got to then look at how much income tax we're going to pay on that $60,000 a year, because you're not going to get that. They're going to send that straight to the government. Then what does a $60,000 income besides Social Security, is that going to cause you to pay tax on your Social Security, and how much tax? I mean, I could just go on and on. When you mess with one subject, it starts kicking in other subjects, and then you get into the other subject and you start making decisions there. It's all like a big pot of soup where you've just thrown in all these different ingredients, turned on the fire, and you start cooking. It's going to have a certain taste to it. What we do is we put together a retirement plan that's unique to you. People have different assets, different incomes, different Social Security records, different preferences in how they get their health care, different wishes for their estate planning. They're in all different places, and then you get the individual people. Different things happen to them at different points in their life. So this all needs to be done very specific to you. But it's not an exact science either. It's bouncing things against each other. And we don't have the luxury of just finishing, oh, it's a big pot of soup and, you know, the best you can do is we really have to get all 7 of these areas, make some recommendations, and then project to you how we think it's going to work out in all of these areas. So I'm Hans Scheil, and, you know, we have all these topics on this YouTube channel. We have all these videos. I give them away to people. There's no cost for it. We're a small family-owned insurance agency. My brother works in here. My sister-in-law works in here. My son used to work in here. A number of the people that are with me have been here well more than 5, 6, 7 years. I have a lot of young people that work in here. We're in all 50 states and DC. So we can serve people anywhere in the United States. These modern technologies like Zoom, that kind of thing, have made it very easy for us here in Durham, North Carolina, to sit with somebody in California and plan out all this stuff. So we can do that. Many of you are reluctant to reach out to somebody because there's a lot of vultures out there. You turn your phone number into something and, you know, it's all chaos. If you want to reach out to us, if you want to go to our website, cardinalguide.com, and just ask us a few questions. You don't have to tell us who you are. Just, I guess you're going to have to give us your email address to answer them. But, you know, we respect your privacy. I'm very passionate about this and really want to teach people, and I'd like for all the people watching to make good decisions, whether you do that stuff with me or not. I'm Hans Scheil, and I thank you very much for watching.